All right, taking a look at task 3. So this one's going to be really similar to what we just did. If you take a look, actually, at part A, this is asking us the exact same thing as task 2. But what I want to highlight is last week we created these tables. You did that in a Desmos investigation, and I just did a quick Google and grabbed a table that kind of looks like what you did, where you were finding the values of the trigonometric ratios for specific degree measures. And I'm actually going to, just for the sake of distraction, I'm going to get rid of radian measure. We don't really need to look at that. That will be something that we deal with later in life. And the other thing is, you might have these values here, sine, cosine, and tangent, in decimals, which is fine. And you can do the same experience as we're doing right now. So this first task is asking us to see where, so for A, we want to know where the sine of A is equal to the cosine of A for an acute angle. So remember that an acute angle is anything between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay, so if we go back to our table, so we are looking at anything between here and here, and we want to know where this value and this value are the same. So if I go down, and I've really only got 3 options. If you guys will probably have more, right? Because we went 0 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and so on. 45 happens to be the really important one because it's an isosceles right triangle. And we can see here that these are not equal. These are not equal. So when sine of 30 degrees is not equal to cosine of 30 degrees, sine of 60 degrees is not equal to sine of cosine of 60 degrees. But we see that there's a really unique relationship here where the sine of 45 degrees is equal to the cosine of 45 degrees. So yay, we did part A, and we used different information. All right, so now part B. This one's a little trickier. Sine of A is equal to cosine of 2A. So we want to know for B where the sine of one angle is equal to the cosine of double that angle. And if we go back up, which it does say acute angle, so we can verify that it needs to be an acute angle, or that it happens in the range of an acute angle just by checking 0 degrees. So if I check the sine of 0 degrees compared to the cosine of 2 times 0 degrees, if I go back up here, the sine of 0 degrees is 0. Cosine of 0 degrees is 1. So what I get is that this is 0 and that this is 1. So this is going to be larger, not equal to, right? And then let's check the other range, the other extreme, which is 90 degrees. That would mean that it's as close to not acute as possible. So the sine of 90 compared to the cosine of 2 times 90. So the sine of 90, we have 1. And 2 times 90 is going to be 180, right? So cosine of 180. So I know that this is 1. And 180 here, cosine is negative 1. So I know that 1 is greater than negative 1. So what this tells us is that Somewhere in here, we've got the sine of A is greater than, excuse me, is less than cosine of 2A, and then it switches somewhere. So we want to find where that place switches, meaning where it's equal to. Because there's a place where it switches, and then the sine of A becomes greater than the cosine of 2A. And that's what we're interested in. Okay, so let's take a look at that. It's going to be somewhere between 0 and 90 degrees. So somewhere between 0 and 90 degrees. Let's check a few values. For the table that I've got, it looked like we only had 30, 45, and 60. So we've got 3 trials really to look at before we get more knowledge. Whoops, that's what it's going to be. So we've got 3 trials to take a look at. And we want to know about each of those. I'm going to start with 45 because I have a feeling that it's not going to be really kind to us. So cosine of 2 times 45 is the same as cosine of 90. So let's check sine of 45 and cosine of 90. So sine of 45, let's go orange with this one. Sine of 45 and cosine of 90. Okay, those values do not equal. So square root of 2 over 2 and 0 are not equal. All right. And then let's go to the top. So sine of 30 and then cosine of 60. We'll go purple with this one. Oops. So sine of 30 and cosine of 60. Hey, that looks pretty good. They're both 1/2. So 1/2 is equal to 1/2, and the world rejoiced. All right, and then this last one is cosine of 120. So let's do this one in, it's like light green. Sine of 60 and cosine of 120. So get rid of these. Sine of 60 and cosine of 120. All right, not equal there either. Square root of 3 over 2 is not equal to negative 1/2. So what we've just determined is that we only have one solution that is acute based on our table. And so this is the tipping point, is when sine of 30 is equal to cosine of 60. And let's go back up here for that. Sine of 30 is equal to cosine of 60. All right, so I hope this helps, and I hope you are being productive this week. And let me know if you have any questions.